water. She said, no, I will get the water for you. I will dip down in the well. I will bring the buckets to you, and I will make the camels drink. He knew right then that this was Isaac's wife. He knew, because that was going the second mile. You know, it's a virtuous woman to find someone that's willing to go the second mile with her husband. In today's culture, where we're at today, think about it. If you love somebody, you'll go the extra mile. A virtuous woman goes the extra mile for her husband. And it's true that that takes place. Not only that, but there was a lady by the name of Jochebed in the Bible. This lady Jochebed was a virtuous woman, not because of her name, but because of what she did for a deliverer that would come and deliver God's people. This deliverer was called Moses. She hid baby Moses for 3 months. Why? Because Pharaoh was killing all of the babies in that day. They were throwing them into the Nile River, and when they would throw them into the Nile River, the alligators would get them. The crocodiles would eat them. It was a disaster taking place. Pharaoh was concerned about some baby taking over. Well, the one that he missed was Moses. Jochebed put baby Moses in a bulrush and let him go in his little canoe. But she did it so that somebody would find him. I thank God because her name was not well known, but her actions of faith were well known. Your actions of faith for your family, women, determines how your family goes. The account of her hiding the small baby for 3 months, then transferring him to this floating bassinet, if you will, to the Nile River, was widely known when you would go to Sunday school, because it's something they would teach. To find her name, you'd have to look in the genealogies of the Bible, because it wasn't very famous. However, she was one of those individuals that was recorded in the New Testament of the Hall of Faith in Hebrews chapter 11. Her name is there in the Hall of Faith, where Jochebed put baby Moses. The birth of her second child, Moses, came at a very difficult time for the Jews. They needed a deliverer. The attempt to decrease their population, Pharaoh was throwing all the babies into the Nile River. Jochebed's motherly instinct motivated her faith in God, and it didn't allow her just to stand by. But guess what? When Pharaoh's daughter found this baby, guess who the handmaid was? Jochebed. Guess who raised baby Moses? Jochebed. Isn't that amazing how God does great and mighty things? A mother knows how to hide her children. Not only that, but also prepare and properly help her children to find God. Her faith enabled her to put this baby in the water and caused the baby to be found, so that she was just so happened to be there at the proper time. Say, oh, I'll care for the baby. Think about it. Jochebed's actions remind each and every one of you ladies that faith may demand the placing of a husband or a child. And it may seem an even dangerous situation, putting him on the water by himself, where an alligator or a crocodile could have got him. But let me tell you something. In order to bring position with God, she knew exactly what she was doing. Sometimes God wants you to position your family to know Him. A virtuous woman knows how to position her family. Deborah in the Bible was a woman who had great courage. Courage. Deborah was the first woman. She was a woman judge. But more importantly, she was known for her actions to help Barak because Barak was a man who was weak-kneed, weak-minded, and could not fend his battles by his own. He needed a woman to stand up and fight the battle for him. And Deborah was that woman. She came on the scene and she helped. Deborah helped to bring some deliverance. And she was a prophetess. Deborah was the prophetess that would tell Barak what he needed to do. And all he had to do was to stand up and take 10,000 men, and God would give the enemies into his hand. Basically, God was saying, listen, I'll do all the work. You just go get your men, stand there, look real good, and I'll do the rest. I'll scare them off. Back in that day, Barak was going against 900 army chariots. What does that mean today? It would be like 900 tanks coming after you. That's what was coming after Israel. But Deborah helped to win the victory. Then we get to this wonderful woman, Hannah, we've been talking about. Hannah bargained with God. She made a promise by praying with God. Have any of you ladies ever said, well, you know what, I'll bargain with God? Well, hold on. Maybe have you ever attempted to bargain with God? By this, Lord, if you give me that job, I'll do this. Or how about this? Lord, if you save my child, I'll do this. Or how about this? Lord, if you protect my husband, I will do this. We make deals with God. We bargain with God. But let me tell you something. Hannah kept her promise. Not only did she keep her promise, Hannah knew the miracle of Samuel. Samuel's name means the Lord hears. My question is, when's the last time you've prayed, you've asked God for something, and He heard your prayer? And you knew He heard your prayer because the answer came what you were praying for. That's faith. That's knowing that God is with you. Not only did Hannah understand the praying and the promises that she kept, there were two great events that occurred in Hannah's life when she was at the temple. She testified and told Eli, listen, for this is the child I prayed for. You told me he was going to come. I prayed about it. He came, and now I'm giving him back to you. I'm giving him back to you. Keeping our promises to God is very important, but keeping your promises in general is important as well. We must not forget our part when God comes through for us. You know, we've all made promises. God, I know that if you'll do this, I promise that I'll take care of this. Lord, if you bless me, I'll pay tithes and offerings for the rest of my life. I believe that I will. And God does it. And then we're like, well, you know, it's hard, man. I was easy on $100, but man, now $10,000. Wow. $1,000 is tithes. She was a woman who kept on praising. She was a woman who kept on praying, kept her promises, and she praised God. This is what she said at 1 Samuel chapter 2. And as Hannah prayed, she said, my heart rejoiced in the Lord. My horn is exalted in God. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies. Let me tell you something. If you got some enemies that come after you and say things about you and run their mouth about you, you need to be saying this. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies because I have rejoiced in the God of my salvation. He's heard my need. He heard my request. There is none holy as unto the Lord. There is none beside you, God. There is neither any rock, like our God. Talk no more to be exceeding proudful, is what she was saying. Let not arrogancy come out of our mouth. The Lord is our God of our knowledge, and by Him actions are weighed. God weighs our actions. ladies, men. The bows of a mighty man are broken, and they that stumble are girded with strength. They that are full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that are hungry ceased, so that the barren hath borne 7, and she that may have many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth and make alive. He bringeth down to the grave, yet he brings up. The Lord maketh the